Hello, hello. How's everyone doing tonight? Happy Sunday. Welcome back to another healthy meal in the making here at Cook With Me TV. I'm your host, Ashley Thomas, registered dietitian, and I'm very excited to be cooking up some enchiladas tonight. So what we're going to be making tonight are sweet potato black bean enchiladas. If you are familiar with the cookbook Thug Kitchen, it comes from that cookbook. It's a great cookbook if you've never heard of it. Just keep the little ones away from it because it's got some F-bombs in there, so don't share it with them. But the recipes are all plant-based and very, very delicious. And so this recipe comes from that cookbook. What we're going to do is mix up some sweet potatoes, some black beans, onions. We're going to make a homemade enchilada sauce, which is actually very, very simple. You probably have a lot of these things on hand already, so this is going to be a really nice meal to throw together any day of the week, really. So let's go ahead and start. If you are cooking with me, go ahead and get everything out that you need. You're going to need 2 pans. One of them we're going to do the enchilada sauce in, and the other one we are going to saute up the onions and black beans and all that good stuff. You're also going to want to get a big bowl, a glass bowl, any kind of bowl really, just to mix all of the enchilada fillings in, so it keeps things a little bit more cleaner in the kitchen as we go. Then we're also going to want a 9x13, really any kind of size baking dish. We'll make it work. Let me know, shoot me a message or a comment if you are cooking in a different size dish. It's really all about just fitting the enchiladas in there, so it doesn't have to be this size. And then go ahead and get out all of the food ingredients, right? So we're going to do a sweet potato, an onion. We're also going to do a can of black beans, your tortillas of choice, whether they're corn or flour. We're also going to want a few ingredients for the enchilada sauce. So that's going to be your spices. We're going to do chili powder, cumin, oregano, garlic, fresh garlic if you have it, or garlic powder will work if you don't. Some soy sauce, a lime, and then that is pretty much, tomato paste, your can of tomato paste. So I'll give you a second to get those things out. Also start preheating your oven to 350. So I'm just real quick going to check in here just to see if we've got anyone on. I see there's a few people on, so give me a wave. Hello, let me know where you're tuning in from. I can't see exactly who's on right now. So without further ado, we're gonna get this party started. I am very excited for enchiladas tonight, and so is David. So chop chop. The first thing we're gonna do is the enchilada sauce. So let's go over to the stove, and we're gonna start. We'll put this heat on a low, and let's just dump basically all of those ingredients for that enchilada sauce in this small saute pan. So these tomato paste cans are about 6 ounces. We're only going to use 1/3 cup. So it's going to be roughly 2/3 of your can. And I'm just gonna grab a little spoon here so I can get it out. Hi, Atlee. Happy Sunday. How are you? If you're cooking with me, you're gonna love these enchiladas. They are delicious. I've made them once before, and they're just so good. And I never really thought until I saw the recipe that I could make enchilada sauce at home. I just assumed I would have to buy one from the store, which you can do just to cut down on time. But this is pretty easy. And like I said, if you keep some of these staples on hand, it'll be even that much easier to throw together. Okay, so about 2/3 of the can of tomato paste. We're gonna do 2 cups of stock. You can use veggie stock, chicken stock, whatever you're doing. This recipe is vegan. So if you're not vegan, not a problem. You're still probably going to really enjoy it. But if you're not vegan, then you can also take liberties to top it with some cheese, or maybe use chicken stock instead of veggie stock. So I'm gonna measure out 2 cups here. And I'm going to set this guy aside just in case we want to add a little extra to thin it out once it comes up to a simmer. Okay, got that in. Now we can go ahead and add our chili powder, cumin, and oregano. So the chili powder is going to contribute the highest volume of spice. So about 2 tablespoons. I'm going to kind of estimate this here, or I'll just use this guy. So that's not quite 1, but I did finish that one off. We'll dump him in and I'll just try to eyeball the rest. 1, 2, and then a little extra from that first tablespoon that I didn't get to complete. Okay, then we're gonna do cumin next. So just 2 teaspoons of cumin. Cumin is gonna be a little bit more potent of a spice, so we're going to do a little bit less of that one. And I've misplaced my cumin. Where are you, cumin? Huh. Oh, you know what? I didn't get it out. That's what happened. Sorry for the holdup. If you've got your cumin, go ahead and add it. And then you can also go ahead and add 1.5 teaspoons of oregano. I'll go ahead and do the oregano since I've already got it out. And I'll search for that cumin in just a second. I'll get the rest of the ingredients in here. Okay, we're also going to do a tablespoon of lime juice. You can use a fresh lime if you want. You can use lime in a squeezy bottle like this, which is what I'm actually going to use tonight just because it's quick and simple. A bit of lime juice. Okay, and then go ahead and grab a whisk. A whisk will probably be better at mixing all this together. And while this is coming up to a simmer, we'll go over to the cutting board and chop up some garlic, because we're going to need garlic for both the enchilada sauce and the sweet potato mixture. So we'll just chop it all up at one time and then use half for this sauce and half for the veggies. Do a couple pinches of salt in here. And then 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. One, 2. I know these ingredients sound kind of strange together, but they work. Boy, do they work. Okay, so let's get those garlic cloves out. So we're gonna do a total of 6 cloves. These guys are big. One. Wow, this is huge. Oh wait, that's 2 of them. Okay, 2. Yes. Ooh. 3. You know what? I'm gonna do 5 because these cloves are pretty big. Okay, and just shove all of your wispy garlic papers aside off of your cutting board. Just brush them off. And then we'll get to cutting the garlic. What does everyone think about cutting garlic? Do you think it's kind of a pain to cut it every time you want to have some fresh garlic? Because there's other ways, there's other shortcuts. Let me know. Smashing this garlic here. Get out any anger that you might have from the day. Not gonna lie, I've been a little hormonal lately, having entered the 3rd trimester. I feel like I'm a little quick to anger these days, so smashing garlic is the perfect end to my day. Anyone else ever been there? I know I'm not the only one. Okay, so once you get your garlic peeled, go ahead and mince it up. And like I said, we'll use half of it in the enchilada sauce and then half of it in the sweet potato mixture. Atlee, I'm using already minced garlic tonight, not feeling like chopping it. I hear you. So you buy that stuff in the jar, right? That you can get at the grocery store. I think where do you usually find it? I think it's in the produce aisle, right? That's a great, great shortcut. Something wonderful to have on hand for those nights where you either don't have fresh garlic or you don't feel like peeling it. Because it is a little time consuming. You can see it's taken me just a few extra minutes. Okay, garlic can be a little sticky. I'm going to give my hands a quick rinse before I come in to chop these guys up. Oh, it smells so good. I do love the smell of garlic. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to separate my little garlic pile into two. And we're going to throw half of it in this enchilada sauce. And just keep that sauce on low or maybe medium heat. And you want it to simmer. Just be careful that it doesn't boil over. You also don't want to cook it at too high of a temperature because then the sugars in the tomato paste may start to burn on the bottom of your pan and then infiltrate your wonderful potential of an enchilada sauce, and it won't taste as great at the end. All right, so we're going to let this hang out while we get everything else going. So the next thing that we're going to do is prep the sweet potato. And so you can do this in a couple of different ways. So you could simply use already cooked sweet potato if you have that on hand. It doesn't have to be diced. It could be mashed. It could be cooked in any way. So if you are using a pre-cooked sweet potato, let me know, and I'll let you know based on the form that it's in, how you want to use it in the recipe. If you're cooking a sweet potato from raw like I am, or fresh, you can prick it with a fork, stick it in the microwave for about 10 minutes and it'll soften and cook that way. Or you can dice it up, throw it in a bowl with a little bit of water and throw it in the microwave as well and do a quick steam. And then lastly, if you want to do a stovetop steam, you can fill a pot of water with about 1 inch of water, put your steamer basket in, dice up your sweet potato, throw that sweet potato in there, put a lid on it and steam it that way. I'm going to take a quicker route tonight and just dice this up, throw it in a bowl and pop it in the microwave for about 5 minutes and check it and then see if it needs any more time. But that's how I'm going to cook the sweet potato tonight. So you make your decision, you cook it how you want, and also leave the skin on. We're not going to peel this. So I cut my sweet potato in half lengthwise, and then I'm going to come through and make another cut lengthwise on each side, being careful not to cut my finger. And then I'm going to stack the two inner pieces, cut them into strips. Turn them, and then cut them into small chunks or a dice. The smaller you cut them, the faster they're going to cook. And then go ahead and just put them in a bowl that you plan on putting in the microwave. I'm getting a big enough bowl here to add the black beans and the cooked onions on here, so consider that too, getting a relatively large bowl. And then just go back and do the same thing with your end pieces of sweet potato. So to round out this meal tonight, if you saw in the ingredient list that I posted, there were salad greens listed as an option, and that's just to make a very basic side salad, which I am going to do tonight, just to help balance this meal out a little bit more. While it is, vegetarian or vegan, or and there are vegetables in it. We still want to make sure that we're getting some of those non-starchy vegetables on the plate, and so lettuce definitely satisfies that. And I also, if you fill up on enchiladas, you're gonna feel really heavy and full, and it's just easy to feel uncomfortably full after eating enchiladas. So by slightly reducing the amount of enchiladas you eat and then filling in the gap there with a nice lighter side salad is a great way to balance nutrient intake and then also not feel so heavy after the meal. So I've got the sweet potatoes in the bowl here. I'm going to add just about a tablespoon or two of water to the bottom and pop it in the microwave for about 5 minutes is what we'll start with. Because they're chopped up, they shouldn't take as long as a whole intact sweet potato, which will typically take about 10 minutes. So that's why I'm doing 5 minutes. Okay, once you've got that going, let's revisit the stove real quick because I see this enchilada sauce is simmering. I want to give it a little stir here. Ooh, it smells so good. So as this cooks, it'll thicken up a little bit. Beautiful. So in your other pan here, go ahead and put a little bit of olive oil or canola oil or whatever you're cooking with. We're going to saute our onion. So go ahead and turn your pan on a medium heat, and let's come back over to the cutting board and just chop up that onion. So you're going to want a small onion here, or if you've got a big guy, just use half of them. And we'll just, we're gonna do you could do a dice. Just imagine that these cooked onion pieces are going to need to fit inside your tortillas, right, for your enchiladas. So if you have huge chunks, it might be harder to roll those tortillas up. So usually in this case, the smaller the better. And to make this process go a little quicker too, you could also buy pre-cut onion at the grocery store. Go ahead and chop the rest of this. Is it snowing where you are, Atlee? It's snowing here. It's exciting. Okay, let's throw these onions right in that pan once you get them chopped up. You can also go ahead and throw the garlic in with the onion, the rest of your garlic. This is definitely one of those. This is like a perfect comfort meal for snowy weather. Beautiful. All right, I'm gonna give my hands a quick rinse. All right. Hey, Jessica. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. For those of you who have just tuned in, we are making sweet potato black bean enchiladas tonight. They're going to be delicious. Yes, Atlee says it's snowing there. Wonderful. I don't know. I like the snow. It's pretty when it first falls, right? It's beautiful. It makes me just want to like sit and watch it out the window all day. But then when you have to go to work and all that, it's a different story, right? Okay, so go ahead and add a pinch or so of salt to your onion. I'm gonna start developing some flavor here. Man, that enchilada sauce smells so good. Also, for those of you who are just tuning in, this enchilada sauce was pretty easy to throw together. If you want to make one homemade, all it is tomato paste, veggie stock, soy sauce, 3 spices, so oregano, cumin, and chili powder, some fresh garlic, and lime juice. So, if you keep those things on hand, it's pretty easy to throw together. Also, a recap, this recipe is from Thug Kitchen Cookbook. I've made it a couple times and it's delicious. I love it. Go ahead and whisk your enchilada sauce anytime you see it start to bubble up around the sides. Okay, so we can also add to our onions a little more chili powder and a little more cumin. So let's go ahead and do that. I would say maybe a teaspoon each if you're using measuring spoons. It's always nice to add your spices, your dried spices, to something and cook the spices like this for 30 seconds to a minute, just to help release the oils from the spices and help those flavors really permeate all throughout the dish. And my sweet potatoes just went off in the microwave. So if yours did too, go ahead and check them. You can use a fork to poke them and see how tender they are. If they're tender, then they're done and you don't need to throw them back in. And mine could use maybe just like 2 more minutes. I'm just gonna cook mine for about 2 more minutes and then they'll be good. Wonderful. Okay. And then once your onions become translucent, so we're gonna cook them for about another minute or 2, and then we'll add our black beans. So while these onions are cooking, let's go ahead and just open up our can of black beans. We will drain them and then throw them right into the pan along with your onion. So curious, Thug Kitchen Cookbook, anybody familiar? Anybody like that cookbook? I know we have a few people who are vegan who follow this show, and while this show is not for vegans, we do a lot of plant-based / vegan recipes on here, but Thug Kitchen Cookbook is a great resource for those who are wanting to cook or find more vegan recipes. They're all vegan and they're really good. Right, I'm gonna go ahead and throw these black beans in here with the onions. Make sure you get them all out. Sometimes a few beans stick to the bottom of that can there. Looks good. Okay, give that enchilada sauce a little stir. Oh, everything smells so good. So wonderful. Whoa. I still can't find my cumin. I think I'm out. That's a bummer. Well, my recipe is gonna taste a little different from everyone else's, but that's okay. What could I substitute? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do a little bit of coriander instead of cumin. I wouldn't consider it the perfect substitute, but it can help a little bit. Coriander is actually the seed that produces cilantro. So it's still going to work really nicely in this recipe. So I'm just going to add a little bit to the beans and then a little bit to the enchilada sauce as well. Oh yeah, oh, that smells so good. Okay. And then once those onions and garlic are cooked through, and they don't have to be perfect, right? Because we're going to throw all of this in the oven in those enchiladas for about 20 minutes. So they're still going to have some good cooking time. So I'm going to turn this heat off and we'll pull those sweet potatoes out of the microwave or however you've got your sweet potatoes. And we're going to throw the black bean mixture in with the sweet potatoes. And so this is our enchilada filling. Now, if you're not vegan and you're not eating plant-based, or maybe you just feel like having some chicken in here, by all means, you know, cook up some chicken with these beans and onions and add that into your filling as well. Or maybe you have some leftover chicken, leftover shredded chicken at that, and you want to add that in. You do you. Mix all this together. And then let's go ahead and turn the heat off of that enchilada sauce. And we're going to start building these enchiladas. So go ahead and get your pan out, whether it's a 9x13 or whatever size. I don't know if you were on here earlier, but in the very beginning I mentioned if you don't have a 9x13, no big deal. Basically, you just want to use your basic math skills to fit your enchiladas into whatever size pan you're using. So the first thing that we're going to do is just lightly coat the bottom of your baking dish with a little bit of enchilada sauce. You don't need a lot. You just need a tiny, tiny bit, maybe like a tablespoon or two. Okay, and then just kind of roll it all around. So this will do a couple things. It'll prevent sticking of your enchiladas, and then also it just starts to add some flavor to your enchiladas as a whole. So I've got 2 packs here. They're both corn tortillas. One's white corn, one's yellow corn. I'm gonna use these guys up first because these are a little bit older, and I just wanna make sure they don't go bad before I use them. You can use flour. I will say flour does hold together a lot better than corn, but I just prefer the taste of corn over flour. Okay, so then what we're gonna do is scoop our mixture, kind of like you're making a taco, right? And my corn tortillas are pretty small. If you got the bigger ones, you can pack it a little bit more full. And then just roll them up and place them seam side down in your dish here. If your tortillas start to break, like mine are kind of breaking right now, you might need to heat them up. And so I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna experiment real quick and just try 2 things. I'm just gonna try rolling it around in some sauce first to heat it up. Let's see if that helps at all. And then kind of roll the tortilla that way. So that worked a lot better. Kind of. Okay, that did not work at all. I'm not gonna lie. Real quick, I'm gonna throw a few of these in the microwave and heat them up because they're breaking on me. I should have just bought a bigger size, honestly. but I had all these at home and I wanted to use them up, so I was just trying to be frugal. Okay, just gonna pop these in the microwave real quick. If your tortilla rolling is going well, you continue doing what you're doing. Just curious, what kind of tortillas did everybody get? Did you get flour or corn? And then what size did you get? Did you get the little 6-inch ones like I did, or did you get the bigger 10 or 12-inch ones? So again, remember your oven's at 350 right now. And then once you're done rolling all of the tortillas, you are going to pour the rest of the sauce over them and then cover it with some foil and put it in the oven for about 20 minutes. Okay, let's see if these warm tortillas have a little more give for me. It feels like they might. I'm gonna pour just a little more of this sauce in here since that last guy used it all. Okay. Get to rolling. So this is where it's nice to have a partner in the kitchen with you. So this process goes a little bit faster. And like I said, this part's messy, so if you've got filling coming out, not a big deal. You're just gonna eat it all anyway, so you can just scoop it out with a fork, top your enchiladas with it. It'll all be good. So I have to say, I think heating the tortillas up was pretty good. And so another thing you wanna do is give a little, like, smush them a little bit together. It'll help them stay together, hold their shape, and you can fit a few more in there that way. This is a great dish to have, or to make, to have leftovers. We love having leftovers. I'm gonna smoosh one more in here. And so basically you're just going to roll until you've run out of filling or you've run out of tortillas. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna put some in here too. I think I can probably fit 2 per. Yep, wonderful. Yes. It's almost perfect, the amount of filling that I have. Crazy. You could also, you can do so many different filling variations on this too. But I have to say the sweet potato black bean one is pretty good. I'm gonna grab one more of these tortillas. Fill them up, and I think with the rest of this filling, there's not that much left. I'm just gonna pour it over the top of the enchiladas. Actually, I think I'm just gonna shove it all into this last tortilla. Cool. All right. We'll just pretend that I actually rolled this one. Feel bad for the guy who gets that one. Okay, Get all of this. Got some onions left over in here. And then, like I said, you're just going to pour the rest of your enchilada sauce right on top. Just trying to cover all of the enchiladas that you've got on here. Ooh, yummy. So good. Use your spoon to get all of that delicious sauce out. Oh, so good. Grab some foil. Give my hands a rinse real quick. Hey, Brian, good to see you. We are making enchiladas. Sweet potato black bean enchiladas. Just throw some foil over your pan. Whoop. Pop it in the oven. The foil just helps to prevent any burning on top or drying out of the enchiladas. So that's why we're doing the foil. If you have a lid that fits your pan, go ahead and use a lid too. All right, and then we're gonna throw it in the oven, preferably on your middle rack in the oven. Like I said, for about 20 minutes. So I'm just going to set my timer for 20 minutes because you know me, I'll start talking and forget what's going on. Burn my food. Okay. And then while you wait, you can get your salad together, and you can also chop up your cilantro, scallion, avocado, whatever it is that you feel like topping your enchiladas with. So I'm gonna real quick show you one thing that I like to do with putting or serving this with a simple side salad. So I want to use this bowl, this big bowl. So I'm just gonna wash this real quick so I can reuse it. Just curious, whoever's cooking with me, are you also serving a salad with this or no? So what we're gonna do is just do a very basic salad dressing of olive oil, lime juice, and cumin. And what we'll do is put the ingredients for the dressing right in the bottom of this big bowl, or whatever bowl it is that you are going to put your salad in. Cool. Okay. So I'm going to use my fresh lime here. So get those juices flowing in your lime by just applying a little bit of pressure as you roll it out on the cutting board. Cool. Atlee's also doing a salad. Love it. Always good to get some greens in your day. One thing I like to talk about with salad greens is that they have a lot of they pack a lot of folate, which is a B vitamin that can actually help reduce your risk for heart attacks and strokes, rather. Because there's a certain metabolic process that happens in your body where getting adequate amounts of folate in your diet can prevent a specific marker called homocysteine from accumulating too much in your body. So that can help you prevent heart attacks and strokes and reduce your risk overall for heart disease. So green foods are good for a reason. I know you're probably tired of hearing us health professionals say eat your greens every day, but there really is a good reason for why we say that. Okay, so you've got the juice of 1 lime, or roughly 3 to 4 tablespoons of lime juice. And then go ahead and drizzle in about 1/4 cup of olive oil. And I'm gonna give my whisk a rinse too because I wanna use this guy again. So you've got your olive oil in there. Roughly a 1/4 cup, eyeballing it, totally eyeballing it. And then get your cumin, or you could really do any spice that you want in here. You could do some chili powder if you wanted to. Whatever you want. Just whisk that together. And what you're doing is emulsifying this mixture. So you're getting that fat mixed in from the oil nicely with the vinegar. And so you can see it starts to get a little creamy looking. You can do this with so many other different ingredients. You could do a lemon instead of a lime. You could even add some lemon or lime zest in here. Perfect. And then what you're gonna do is throw your salad greens right on top of this in the bowl. I'm gonna grab, we got this giant spring mix here. Compliments of Aldi. Love shopping at Aldi. And when we live in a house with two other people, so there's 4 of us here, we go through a lot of food. We go through a lot of salad greens, especially when everyone's eating salad. Sherry's asking, can you suggest something to replace the sweet potato? Yes, that's right. You're avoiding the sweet potato. So you could really do any other kind of non-starchy vegetable. You could do regular potato if you wanted to. You could do broccoli. You could do cauliflower. You could do butternut squash. That would be a little bit closer to the sweet potato. Acorn squash. Any of those winter squashes would work really, really nicely in place of sweet potato. All right, and then go ahead and just toss all of this together, either with your hands, your tongs, which I was looking for my tongs, but I can't find them, so I'm just gonna use my hands. Or just like 2 forks or 2 spoons. And so we're just gonna gently coat each leaf with this simple salad dressing. And then, so there, you've just got some simply dressed salad greens to serve on side with the enchiladas. I didn't realize you were on, Sherry. I would have said hello personally. Hey, Lindsay, good to see you. All right. And so that's done. So now what we can do is, I'm gonna chop up some scallion and cilantro because that's what I'm gonna be throwing on the enchiladas tonight. You go ahead and do whatever toppings you're gonna do. I'm gonna stick this back here. I've got towels everywhere. I don't know why we have so many towels out in the kitchen. 1, 2, 3, and there's a 4th one over there. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. If you are going to add, I just had a thought. If you are going to add cheese to this, what we're going to do is after the 20 minutes, lift off your foil, add your cheese, and then pop it back in for another 5 minutes, just enough to let that cheese melt. So if you are adding cheese, I would wait to add it until the end. Oh, Sherry. Never miss a Cook With Me TV. I love it. Thank you for being here. I hope you're learning lots. Okay, we're gonna do some scallion. We'll do 3 of these guys. Sometimes the ends of scallions are a little dirty, so you might need to rinse them a bit. Maybe peel off that outer layer. Okay. And I'm going to chop both the greens and the whites. Just a small dice. So again, this will be the garnish for the top. Adds a little extra nutrition, a nice little bite, little crunch, and some nice flavor. Nice fresh flavor to finish it off. I swear, meals, when it comes to meals, it's all about the toppings, especially meals like this. But even things like oatmeal, right? Like it's all about the toppings. If you don't top your oatmeal well, then it's just going to taste really plain and bland. And a lot of other dishes are like that too. So if you feel like you cooked something at home and it's just a little meh, you're like, this is missing something, I'm just not sure what. Try and throw some diced scallion on it or some fresh herbs if you have some. Maybe some cheese. It's all about the toppings. I'm going to just tear off some of the cilantro here. Is Diane on? Diane hates cilantro. Don't have to use cilantro if you don't like it. I'm going to just pull off the leaves here. If there's a little bit of stem left behind, no big deal. Does anybody compost here in Peoria? Just curious. So I know composting it's a big to-do, right? You need to have something on your countertop at home to have, or in your kitchen to put your kitchen scraps in. And then you have to have a place out back to have the actual compost pile. Then you have to actually tend to the compost, like turn it every so often and make sure that you're throwing the right things in there. Well, if you haven't heard, Better Earth Logistics is a company here in Peoria who just recently put out some community composting bins throughout Peoria. One of them is near Sous Chef and Soulside on Adams Street downtown. And what you do is you just bring your scraps and throw them into the community compost bin. So it's a really easy way for you to compost, but not have all of the composting things at home. So if you do live in Peoria and you're wanting to compost a little bit more, I encourage you to check that out. Maybe there's one bin that's closer to you if you don't live downtown. Or if you work downtown, you could bring, your bag of scraps, throw it in there either on your way to or home from work. And I talk about that because when you're throwing your food in the trash can, the trash just goes into a landfill. And we know that the food in the landfill doesn't decompose like it would if it were to be composted appropriately. And so what it does is it releases methane gas into the atmosphere, which is speeding up global warming and all of those great things. So that's just one small step that all of us can take to really reduce our footprint. So do it if you can. Think about it, maybe. But there are some nice resources here in Peoria for that. I'm just gonna roughly chop this cilantro. And so we've got our toppings here. And we've got about 8.5 minutes left on the timer. So I am actually gonna wrap the show up for tonight. So if you are cooking with me, keep your, get your toppings chopped up, keep your enchiladas in the oven until that 20-minute mark. And then after that, pull them out. If you want to put any cheese on them, go ahead and do that. But if they look done, go ahead and feast. If not, and you want to continue cooking them a little bit longer, you can take the foil off and cook them for maybe another 5 minutes. And then they're done. And then you serve that with your side salad, and it's going to be delicious and wonderful. So let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to hear how your enchiladas turned out, if you enjoyed eating them. I hope that you enjoy your Sunday evening and you're able to eat your dinner in a very quiet, undistracted, pleasant environment so you can fully experience the taste of each bite of enchilada. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I will see you next week. Have a wonderful week. Bye.